So as a lifelong fan of music in general, and a collector since the age of 13 of LPs and CDs, etc., one of my favorite sites to go to for finding hard-to-find items is Discogs.com. You can also just find all kinds of information even if you're not looking to buy. This is a great website, and a couple of years ago or so, probably 2 or 3, I was looking for something specifically by an artist named Hannah Ellis, who is a country singer-songwriter from Kentucky. At the time, she didn't have an album out. At least I didn't think so. She just released her first official album on Curb Records in January of 2024, and she just started her tour for that album this past weekend. So when I first came to this site, though, I saw that there is this album called Let It Be Me on CD. It's not on a label, and it doesn't have a catalog number, and it's from 2011. So if you look closer at that album, you see it does have information about it. 2011, country style. It's got a list of songs, so somebody knows what's on it, which indicates to me that somebody probably has it. But if you go over here and you look, you can see 7 people currently want a copy of this CD, but 0 have it, and the last time it was sold, well, it never was sold. So nobody has ever sold a copy of this CD through Discogs. And probably for very good reason, because it's a very good album. But I'm still looking for a copy of it because there's something I want to do with it, and I want to use better source material than what's available online through the standard streaming services. And for that, I would need a physical copy of the disc. So after striking out at finding this album on Discogs.com for sale on physical CD, the next best thing I thought I would try was Spotify. And there it is. Spotify has this album. It's 2011, 11 songs, 40 minutes, 35 seconds. Scroll down, you see, and there it is. It's been there since June 7th, 2011. It's been there a long time. I thought, great, I'll finally get to hear what these songs are like. And when I click play, nothing happens. You get this icon. It's blocked. So the music is there, but it's not there. Click Runaway Babe, try to play it. Doesn't play. Favorite track of mine is Daymaker, and there it is. But can you hear it? No. You cannot hear it. So what is the point of this? To make this music available and yet not make it available. I'm in between. That's a fantastic song. I don't know who played violin on this song, but the way it works with the steel guitar is unbelievable. It's a fantastic song. She's a little bit, she's outgrown this song, so I can understand why she probably wouldn't want to play it today. But the final track, This Is Where I Stand, these are great songs. Why are they unavailable? Whose decision was that? It's almost as if she doesn't want anyone to hear this original album of hers, which I can only imagine was probably independently pressed or printed and sold on the merchandise table at the back of the room whenever she would do local shows. That's my guess. I've never seen a copy of it, so I don't know. So, since it's not available at Spotify, let's try Deezer. This time I actually had success at finding the music online so I could at least hear what it's like. I had to create a Deezer account in order to access it, but that's okay, it's cheap. So I still don't get CD quality audio on this. I just, it's compressed streaming stuff. But as you can see, I can pick a track now like Daymaker, and well, there we go. See, it works. Yay, it works. The problem is you can't download these songs from Deezer. Now there's Home Run. I think that's a euphemism for something. Well, and then I'm in between. All the tracks work. This is great. So you can't download the songs from Deezer though, so I was not able to do, or I didn't think I was at first, what I really wanted to do with this music, and that is to make sure that it's properly mastered, and that it is, and I'd like to make an experimental 5.1 surround sound mix of this album, which is just something I do as a hobby on a lot of things like this, because it's fun. So being the tech-savvy guy that I am, I did find a way to actually capture all of the songs from Deezer so that I could have them locally on my hard drive and work with them in Audacity. I'm not going to tell you how I did it, because they really go way out of their way to make sure you can't do what I did. And, you know, secrets. So I finally was able to do this, though. I paid the price for a Deezer account, got my copies of all the songs, and I was able to make a 5.1 surround sound remix after I set all the levels and basically digitally remastered this album to suit my tastes. Now, before I go into this explanation of what I found with the files at Deezer, I'm not interested in doing any harm to Deezer's business model, etc. And in fact, I've never had a Deezer account until I paid for one to get this album from their site. And I've been a web developer for about 25 years, and I have never found a website that has better security on their site when it comes to downloading content that legally you're not supposed to be able to download. Deezer did an excellent job. I could not find a way, and I tried several ways, I could not find a way to defeat their system. Except there's one thing that has nothing to do with any of their work that anybody can do with a computer that actually got me this far. So congratulations, Deezer. I'm actually still a paying member of that site, even though I don't need to be. So anyway, moving forward. When I actually got my copy of this album from Deezer, this is what I found. You see these levels. Generally, the album is fairly consistent from start to finish, but the levels, they could use some tender loving care. We'll just say that. This one track right here, which is Daymaker, is extremely loud, as you can visually see, compared to the other tracks around it. So you would go from track 2 and have the volume set, and then track 3, Daymaker, comes on, and it's screaming at you. And then after Daymaker, it goes back to a quieter sound. Now down here, this song right there is quieter than the songs before it and after. So the levels are all over. I mean, I won't say they're all over. It could be much worse, but the levels are inconsistent for this album from start to finish, which is one of the things I expected about it, and was hoping to be able to find a physical copy of the CD so that I could analyze this and correct it if necessary. So looking at this, I was able to go through each individual track and use a loudness normalization routine that I prefer to use for this purpose to make sure that they all play at the same level. You can see the bright blue bar in the middle is pretty much that's your average loudness. And so if the bright blue bar is fairly consistent from start to finish across, then your songs are going to basically be about this, right at the same consistent level, so that you don't have to constantly change the volume while you're listening to it, and it's a lot less annoying. I did not introduce any clipping. This album seems to be very well produced or mastered, except it's just quiet. These tracks are really quiet. So to bring this album into a more modern, or style, from a mastering standpoint, I brought the levels up considerably so that it's louder and all the tracks are consistent, but I didn't add any new, distortion or digital distortion or damage to the songs. I did also notice that playing the album, it seemed as if the tracks were a bit bright, so I did some experimentation and settled on adding 1 decibel of bass, a bass boost of just 1 decibel at 200 hertz, and that seemed to give the overall album a slightly darker tone, so that the high end wasn't just so bright and raspy sounding. So this is what we got. This is Hannah's first album, first CD. Remastered according to what I think is correct. And from there, I was able to make a 5.1 surround sound remix. And I'll show you that next. Initially, I was going to explain in greater detail the process I employed to create this final result, but then I realized that's beyond the scope of this particular message at this time, so I'm going to skip all of that for now and put it in another video, maybe later perhaps. But I do have a technique that I've learned from other internet experts over time. It doesn't produce a result that I would call a 5.1 remix, as you would expect from a professional who has access to the original multi-track masters, but it does produce a definite 5.1 up mix. And it's all based on something called the oops effect, or out-of-phase stereo. If you do research on that or know what that is, you will understand the key of everything that follows. But we're basically looking at the top 2 tracks here are the left and right from the original stereo source that you saw before, and they've not been changed. If you oops those together, you get a center channel containing material that was common to both left and right. And then you duplicate that to produce a channel for your subwoofer. And if you want to apply low-pass filtering or, whatever to any specific EQing for your subwoofer, that's your business. The subwoofer itself is going to roll off all those high frequencies anyway, so why bother? Maybe I'll change in time, but that's my attitude right now. The real magic of this process lies in the creation of the final 2 tracks, which are your left-right or left-rear and right-rear channels. And you get those by oopsing the original stereo left channel with the center channel to produce a rear channel containing material that was only from the left channel to start with. And then you do that again to produce a final right rear channel that's stuff that was exclusively on the right. And when you play all 6 of these tracks together with a 5.1 system, you get a result that is a room-filling ambiance. That is just surprising when you see how easy this process actually can be. It's a matter of, at this point, getting the levels set right, because too often your center channel might be too loud or your rear channels might be too loud, and you need to kind of listen to that and experiment with your level settings to make sure, because you don't want, this is not about creating a special effect like in the 70s when they had quadraphonic and everything was like, it's a psychedelic experience. No, you're just, 5.1 was made for movies, and you're basically trying to get a room-filling ambience that immerses the listener in a way that just, standard stereo can't do. And so where does all this lead? Ultimately, it just goes right to my hard drive. I've got a bunch of music on my hard drive. If you go to the Hannah Ellis section, you can see I now have a 2.0 stereo version of the Deezer custom version of her album. That's without the bass boost. I then have a version of it with the bass boost that I like better. I have MP3s that I made from the HD masters that I modified. And then I have the 5.1 surround version of it as well. I don't have 5.1 surround on this particular computer though, but I do have one I have a theater, a PC for a 5.1 surround theater on the other side of my living room, and I can go over there and listen to it in 5.1 anytime I like. And then there's the current album that she just released that I'm very, very happy to see. It's about time something like that came out and everybody can enjoy it. So you can see, even though I have the compact disc and I even bought the LP, I don't play the physical media. I just use that as great source material when I want to do other things like this. So So thanks, Deezer, for making it available. I don't know that the album is available through any other service on the internet. I wasn't able to find it anywhere else, but because they still have it around, I was able to work with it and add it to my library. So I would like to know if there's any possible way that we could actually have that album available again in the future. If not, oh well. But if so, I'd like to play a role in that. So stay in touch.